Welcome to the Golf Improvement Podcast, episode 178.
Welcome to the podcast for golf lovers and enthusiasts who are looking to take their games to new heights. Dedicated to custom club fitting, short game improvement, and effective practice to improve your golf game. This is the Golf Improvement Podcast with your host, Tony Wright.
Hello, this is Tony Wright from Game Improvement Golf in Oak Ridge, Tennessee with the Golf Improvement Podcast, dedicated to sharing useful information on professional club fitting, short game improvement, and effective practice techniques. I create exceptional golf clubs. You shoot lower scores. It's been a lot of fun to get back to doing podcast interviews this week. The truth is, I needed a little break. But now I'm back, and we're back. And my goodness, do we have a couple of great interviews in store for you over the next 3 or 4 episodes. When I first interviewed Paul Smith from Perth, Australia in podcast 176, I thought we'd get to talking about a Kerry Mumford topic that everyone can use to improve their golf games, clear keys. Well, Paul is back this week, and it was great to have him share some of his clear key knowledge with me and all of you listeners. So enjoy this episode with Paul Smith.
Taking your game to new heights. www.gameimprovementgolf.com.
Hello, this is Tony Wright with episode 178 of the Golf Improvement Podcast. And this is kind of a welcome back for me because it's been a few months since I've done any interviews. But it's also a welcome back to get to talk with Paul Smith from Perth, Australia. Paul and I talked about personal styles and about his great book, 4D Pyramid Coaching, in episode 176. And when we did that, we didn't get to talk about one of the things we were hoping to talk about, which is Kerry Mumford's clear keys, which is a very fascinating topic that I don't think a lot of people know about. And so, Paul, welcome back. And we're going to take a bit of a dive into the world of clear keys. And the one I'm at least attempting to use is hamburgers taste great on bananas. How about that?
Oh, that's a doozy.
That's a pretty random type of a clear key, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I've heard some good ones over the years, but yeah, many of them have got to be whispered very quietly under your breath so that you don't get everybody else laughing.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk a little bit first about kind of history and. You know, what were some of your initial discussions with Kerry Mumford about clear keys? I mean, I assume you remember that because I know you're still, maybe not a lot, but you're still helping some people with applying clear keys to help them play their best golf.
Yeah, that's right. It's I've gone from golf to all sorts of other sports and even helping people with making stressful business decisions these days.
Okay.
Life is full of too many horrible things out there in the world. But when we're playing golf, the worst thing is wondering where your ball's going to go. But yeah, with Kerry Mumford and I, when we first started talking, we kicked around. Personal styles, how to play your golf. But the most important thing was using those things to say, I need to get the ball to be moved by the best of me.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
The best of me is a really accessible thing that we can grab hold of. And yet most people play with one hand tied behind their back. Self-abuse on the golf course is everywhere that you look because people don't know how to think their way around the golf course. When most people think or consider what does it mean to think your way around a golf course, they are immediately looking at, I have to hit the ball from A to B, I've got to decide what club that I want to have. It's the game that they're trying to get through in their mind. And there's this disconnect between where we want to go and what we've actually got to do to hit the ball to get it there. So everything in the people's brain becomes non-segmental. You have this great problem of standing over the ball with way too much going on inside your head. You're still standing there looking at the ball, your grip, are my feet in the right place? Is the ball in the right place? Where's that bunker on the left? And oh my goodness, there's a big lake out there on the right. I don't want to go there. And there's a tree somewhere just in front of me here that I've got to get the ball to go around that. And people have brain freeze.
Yeah.
So that all of a sudden, the club goes back, the club comes forward, the ball goes off into the distance, and there's that downswing blackout. You know, that I know is a turn of phrase that you see quite often used, and nobody knows quite what happened there. So Kerry, when he first started talking to me, got me to realise that was where I was playing most of my sports when I had a static situation, i.e. balls on the ground, it's looking at you saying, hit me, and laughing at you saying,
you don't know how to do it. You're not going to do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was, okay. So the best thing that Kerry explained to me was there are two parts to the game. First part is deciding where you want the ball to go, as in I have to plan where I'm going to try and make my life easier from my next shot. So if you're off your tee, where do I roughly want the ball to be so that I can make my approach to the green, as easy as possible, or with a better chance of scoring from there. The second part of it is actually executing the shot. And it doesn't matter whether you're a really good golfer or a beginner golfer, you're out there on the golf course because you have a set of skills. Can we tie up a shoelace and talk at the same time? The answer to that is yes. It's quite an easy thing to do because we've learned how to tie the knot. It's a very difficult thing to do, learning how to tie a knot. So using that little piece of brain segmentation, we can actually stand over a golf ball and not have to think about how we swing the golf club because we've already made that plan. And this is where the clear key comes in, is we need to shut off all the mental chatter that's going on, which tells us to do things. Once we have the ability to realise that there are two parts to this game, you come up with your hamburger chat. You literally grab your golf club out of your bag. You have a look at where you're going because you think, well, I picked that golf club, or I picked up that club out of my bag because that's the distance that I want to go. I need to give this a little bit of a draw, a little bit of a fade. There's my plan. All I've got to do is stand over the ball and play the stroke. So as I walk up towards the ball, you've got about 10 or 15 seconds that you can say, Mary had a little lamb, she also had a duck. She put them on the mantelpiece to see if they would make friends. And somewhere between the start of that and the end of that, the ball's gone. And you're standing there kind of detached from all the tied-upness that was there before, watching where the ball is actually going to. the concentration level that you can get out of playing with that ditty, and the ditty is the clear key. It is amazing. So you can stand over a ball, and away you go.
And so,
how do you feel?
In a way, and sort of, I think you've kind of said around it. It's regardless of whether you're a 20 or a 25 or a 10 or a 0 or a scratch, you have some kind of habits. You have created some way that you hit the ball, and where you're able to hit it at least reasonably well. But then you're letting it out by using the clear key, right?
That is absolutely right. And will it improve your best shot? No. Will it get rid of rubbish? More likely. And that's how you end up improving your score. So I had a young lad who was a cricketer. That's funny. You have a very hard red ball, so you got to wear lots of pads and helmets and gloves, and you get hit by one of those balls. I tell you what, it hurts. Anyway, this young lad was playing state cricket, or state juniors, and he was going through a form slump. So he wasn't scoring as well as he normally did, and he was getting tighter and tighter and tighter in the way that he was playing, and you could just see the fluency in his game was disappearing. That the confidence was down, and his father came up to me and said, "Oh, would you mind doing a little session with him, see if we can get him out on the straight and narrow again?" I said, "Yeah, well, all right." So this young man, he would have been 17, stood about 6'2", huge compared to me. I'm the original 100-pound weed, or I used to be. I've put a bit of weight on lately. Anyway, I've gone down to the practice area with him, and I said, "Do you mind if I throw some balls at you?" And I said, "You might want to put some pads and things on." And he's looked down at me and said, "Mr. Smith, no offence, but I don't think you can throw the ball that hard at me." So I said, "Well, put your pads on." And normally you would pitch from 20 meters, about 20 yards away. So he was expecting me to throw balls from there. So he's put his pads on and everything, and I've walked halfway down the wicket. So I'm now only like 14, 15 yards away from him. I said, "Yeah, you okay? You good to go?" And he's going, "Oh, okay." Now he's actually quite pleased that he's got his pads on. And I said, "Right, all I would like you to do is just talk to me through whatever's here." I said, "The only thing I ask you to do is, because I'm so close to you here, just don't hit me with the ball backwards. Come in this way." And he laughed. So for about 20 minutes, I just stood there throwing cricket balls at him in different places. And he left the ball a couple of times. He hit the ball lots of times. He ducked if I threw one directly at his head. He moved around. He looked like Muhammad Ali on a good day. And his father's on the other side of the fence, so that he's not getting hit. And he's shaking his head. And after I said, "I can't throw any more balls. That's it. I'm old. I can't do this as much as I used to." And I asked him. I said, "So, how did you go?" He said, "Oh, I actually hit quite a lot of those." I said, "So, how did you actually hit the ball?" He said, "I don't know. You and I were talking, and I was just doing." I said, "Did you think about anything of your technique? Where your balance was, He said, "No." I said, "So, do you think that you've been thinking too much while you've been playing games?" His jaw dropped, and he said, "Oh." He said, "Just by talking to myself, I'm going to be getting rid of those crappy shots."
Yeah.
And I just nodded at him.
Yeah.
I nodded at him, Well, later on that season, we went to presentation night. He won the highest batting average, or aggregate and average, for the competition for the year. And he came up to me and showed me this trophy. And I didn't actually know that he'd won it. And I've gone, oh, well, that's pretty good then. It obviously works. He goes, quote unquote, shit, yeah. So, very Australian. But the point here is that just by relieving yourself of tension in your head is worth $1 million. So how have you found using Clear Keys yourself as you've gone?
Well, I don't think I'm as effective using it right now as maybe I was a number of years ago, and maybe I still have too much going on in my head. But I've had a couple instances where I've hit shots where I thought, well, that was it. I mean, I hit a 7-iron on a par 3 the other day to 1 foot, 2 feet.
Ooh.
And I felt like I was, I knew I was allowing myself to do what was possible, right?
Yeah.
But I think I'm still being a little too mechanical with it. And, we can talk about that, what it is to be mechanical with it, and just kind of let things flow. But maybe talk a little bit about what a Clear Key is and what it isn't. I thought, as you were talking, it might be a good way to sort of delve into it, right?
Okay. Actually, what it isn't is where I would actually start.
Yeah, that's good.
There are some really interesting mental golf books out there. There was one, I think it was called Quantum Golf.
Oh, yeah, I remember that, right.
Okay, now Quantum Golf was a really, really old book that it was a fascinating read because it was almost like a personal journey from, the farmer hitting his ball or whatever. I don't think he was a farmer, but a country golfer enjoying himself and working out, there is something to this mental game. Now, Quantum Golf was a tremendous read, but what it was actually teaching was what I call, and what Kerry used to call it, triggers. Now, if you're sitting at your desk at the moment, I could almost say to you, right, well, stand up, and we're going to do something slightly athletic, and all you have to do is say, right, I'm standing by the side of my desk, and the only thing I say to you is, go. As soon as you say go to somebody, could you feel that little piece of adrenaline go through the system?
Yeah, right.
To start with, it's like, go. Oh, where am I supposed to go? Am I supposed to walk? And there's all this string of questions comes out after somebody's given you an instruction to go, but you don't know go what, go where, go how. But the go in itself is a word that has connotations to it. So you have a go word becomes something that can really destroy your game. So it's almost like having the starting gun as you're standing over the ball and you have to pull the trigger, and it's like, oh, okay, am I ready yet? Am I ready yet? Okay, go. And you take the club back and away you go. But your mind is still full of all those questions of where am I supposed to go? What am I supposed to do? Da-da-da-da. Now, I use go as a word because to go, to run, and anything that's a verb, a word that is very connected to a verb is actually a doing thing.
It's an action, kind of an action thing, right? Right.
Yes.
A specific thing to do. Yeah. Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
Okay, so that is not what a clear key is. So when we have a clear key, we are looking for Almost, I hate using this term, but it's almost like that karma kumbaya type thing, or that feeling of slight meditation of, no, I don't want you to breathe in and breathe out, because guess what? Breathing in and breathing out is a trigger, because it's a physical motion. It's something that I have to think. I have to start breathing. Start is go is not the right sort of thing that we want to be doing. But breathing in and breathing out is very, very good for a lot of situations, but not standing over your golf ball. You might want to breathe in and breathe out nicely and normally before as you walk up to the ball, because we don't want you passing out over the golf ball either. It's a natural thing. It is like swinging your golf club. It's something we just do once we've done it enough that it will just happen. So the clear key is all about having a rhyme or a ditty. Some people will sing them that have fewer verbs or to-go things in the sentence to allow you to walk up to your ball, set up, and execute without actually thinking about it. Because we know that we can stand over or walk up to the ball, set up into our normal stance, have a quick look at where the ball's planned to go, without it being hard focused. Hard focus and soft focus are two different things, because if you really, really try and concentrate on something, it zaps your energy. So a clear key allows you a very soft focus of, a holistic space that you're in within what you normally do, so that you can execute it with less self-interference. So as you go through life, and you pick up a clear key. Now, my kids used the Mary Had a Little Lamb, She Also Had a Duck. All three of them did, because it worked, and they thought it was slightly funny, and it would actually put off the opposition as they were playing with them, so there's a little bit of gamesmanship in there as well. But they could concentrate through long periods of playing golf or playing cricket, or now my oldest lad's a international endurance athlete, and he's got so much grit and concentration compared to many of the other athletes that are around him, because he learned clear keys when he was 9 and 10 years old, when he first started to play golf. He can still stand over a golf ball when he plays once every 6 months or so these days. He fires up clear key, hits the ball, and it's like he hasn't, it's like he's been playing golf every week for the last 6 months, because his body knows what it can do. Is it perfect? No. Is it good? Gee, I wish I could hit the ball as far as he does.
Yeah, right. So when you're talking, and I know you mentioned as we started, somebody you're starting to work with. When you're advising somebody, where do you start out advising them about how to create that? Just that it is that simple and something that's sort of non-action, or do you give them some examples, or do you ask them, what do you think a clear key would be, and get them to talk about some of them that might work and say, hey, maybe that's a good one? How do you typically approach that?
Well, first of all, you've got to give them the taste of what the difference in feeling that you get when you're playing the game, shot to shot. So you can allow them to play their usual everyday shot, and then say, right, well, while you hit the next ball, can you sing something like Mary Had a Little Lamb, or whatever nursery rhyme that you can actually remember, and because that always gets everybody laughing. Yeah. Oh my God, I can't remember any of these things. So that they actually get stressed up, because they've got to think of something that they can remember. And I said, well, okay, if you can't remember a nursery rhyme, think of a song that you like. Just something that you know that you can. And they go, all right. And that 9 times out of 10, they'll stand over they'll walk up to the golf ball, and they'll hit the ball. And I just smile and I look and I said, so what was that song? And they said, I was actually singing it in my head. And you go, well, okay, that wasn't quite the instruction. The instruction was you got to sing it. Now you get lots of embarrassment. I can't sing. I said, well, it doesn't matter. Like, there's only you and me and the birds in the trees over there, unless you think that they're going to heckle you. Then they do it. Then they stand over the ball, and once they get used to the idea of, I'm not the judge on the voice, and they hit the ball, they turn around and say, well, what were the difference between the 3 shots that you hit there? And they answer the question themselves. I said, I didn't even think about swinging the golf club on that last one. It just happened. And then the penny usually drops. After a few goes at it, they go, this is just weird. This is just too simple to work. And I said, the whole point in life is that sometimes the simplest things are the most effective way to do things.
Yeah.
Why make something complicated when you can already do it? Okay, now if you're learning a new stroke or to actually do something physically different, you have to change things around so that you can use clear keys in a different way. But oh my goodness, the freedom that it gives people to be able to hit the ball is quite tremendous. And if it can get rid of 4 or 5 bad shots in a round, that's a good thing.
Oh my gosh, it's like unbelievable for most people, right?
Yeah. And Kerry and I, we used to have these crazy conversations about how do you build a business around something that's so simple. Not that he wanted to build a business, he actually wanted to build, more people out there using the actual tool, because he was a grand old fella in the terms of what I used to call, still do, altruistic egotism, which means, if you do the right thing for people often enough, then it comes back. And as a teacher, to see people improve, that's pretty cool. Now, as time goes on, if you've got a ditty, again, just making sure that it's got as few a number of verbs in it as possible, so you can have, legal. What was Kerry's favourite one? Gosh, this is dragging my brain out here. Legalize bingo keeps grandma, out of trouble or something like that. Oh, what was it? It was something along those lines. But he had linebackers in American football. Now, those are the defenders that line up on the front line. Is that right? Okay, good. I'm making sure I had the right term there. But they actually worked out that they could see the snap and then make the right defending play faster while singing something like that last ditty there. And that was something that Kerry was, trying to take more into the college football side of things in Tennessee.
Oh, that's interesting. Wow. Going to the University of Tennessee people and talking to them about it? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. And Kerry was really keen for me to go to university in Tennessee and actually teach it at one point, but then unfortunately he got ill and didn't make it. So it kind of disappeared as a potential way to try and expand the knowledge base of something as simple as a clear key. So as you go through with all these ditties, something that you mentioned is that, you kind of get a little rusty, or, you get a little bit more mechanical. You need to have, 2 or 3 of these things in your kit bag so that when you actually notice the clear key maybe becoming close to a ready, steady, go mantra, you got to change it.
Yeah.
You become aware of these things as you go. It's funny, but when I used to play golf with my kids when they were little, as they started to hit the ball as far as I did, I had to pay a bit more attention. And then, we weren't competitive. No, Dad and the kids being competitive, never. And we'd get 10 holes in, and number one son would be, far enough in front of me that on the scorecard that he knew that it was going to be really hard for me to catch up. He'd walk past me and he goes, "Where's Mary today?" And I'd stand there and go, "Don't." And I realised that I'd been so tied up with trying to keep up with him that I was actually interfering with my own golf swing, and he noticed it straight up.
Oh, that's amazing.
He knew that I wasn't even using my clear key. So as soon as I knew that, I'd go back and start playing properly. And I would catch up with him sometimes. But it was amazing that even a teenager could tell the difference between when somebody's standing over the ball, trying to hard focus rather than soft focus on what the stroke was got to be and where the ball was supposed to go.
That's really neat. That just shows how obvious it was to him about what was going on. That's pretty good.
Yeah. And the thing is, how many times have you played with, your group of 4, and you look at the people that you're playing with, and you can tell who's stressed and who shouldn't be stressed. And there's a lot of gamesmanship goes on when somebody starts losing the plot.
Yeah.
It's like, you're playing really well today. So when did you change grip? That one destroys people.
Oh, yeah. Well, we've covered, we've covered a bunch of, pretty much the elements, but how about a few success stories with a few people where you've worked with them about using clear keys, or, some of the things you've shared a little bit about the one about cricket, but maybe 1 or 2 about golf.
Okay. So within my book, the gentleman who did the testimonial for the book, Martin, he's a Scottish gentleman who's played golf and taught golf professionally for probably 35, 40 years. And he was struggling with scoring anxiety. He would not be able to play his fluent self. Now, I think he grew up in at St Andrews in Scotland, and as a junior, he held the record for a junior going around the old course. So he could play. And as he became a professional, his capacity to, play and score was diminished to the point that he finally found me because he was looking for Kerry, and we got talking over Skype and WhatsApp about clear keys. And he went on and actually used clear keys almost as a last resort.
Because he was so frustrated about everything, yeah.
He said, I can teach other people to hit the ball and score and whatever, but when I go out and I've got all this stress and, So it's 2 years ago now, he took his clear keys and won the German Seniors Open with it. Now, this is pretty impressive from his point of view, because I have never met the man. I have never watched him hit a golf ball. All I ever did with Martin was talk him through how to use his brain a different way from the way that he'd actually been playing. So, I thought this was something that would have Kerry sitting on his cloud up top there and, clapping. And I don't hear from Martin very often. And it's usually now a question on an angle of clear keys or the profiling side of things. Anyway, it was only 4 or 5 weeks ago. He sent me a little WhatsApp message saying, "I'm over at St Andrews at the moment. I think I've got a few changes going on with my clear keys, that we've kicked around, and I'm enjoying my game, and I shot 4 under and 5 under around the old course." So my reply was, "That sounds like a little bit of progress."
the understated statement, right? Yeah.
Yeah, and I read it. I read the message again, and I thought, "Gee, it's really hard to read sarcasm when you don't realise it's sarcasm in the first place." and like he was just over the moon with just a little bit of a rejig that we'd had on what he was thinking about the clear keys had made such a big difference to. I think I'm getting the hang of this. I shot 4 under and 5 under, and he wouldn't have done that for donkey's years. Yeah. So, as a coach, it kind of makes you proud that these people that, come for help actually kick on with it. It's not like, it worked for me for a few weeks and then I've given it away because I won a tournament. He stuck to it, and it's tremendous because he's now going to be teaching all these people that he teaches over in Germany. They have a what's called Bundesliga there, and he'd had a team in that Ferred club for a few years. So that's like your A-grade amateurs, and those guys are the ones that go on to play PGA, European Tour, and whatever. So yeah, that's at the pointy end of things. But when you can take a young lady who's just finishing, school to go into university or college or to go into the PGA side of things, and you can see an immediate change in the way that they think about what they're doing, all you can do is plant the seed in somebody's head and then let it grow. If people tell you that they don't work, it's a bit like, well, you're thinking about this stuff as you're actually playing the shot, in which case you're not actually doing what the clear key is supposed to prevent you from doing, because you're using the wrong part of your brain.
Yeah.
So it can be very, very relaxing to your golf game. It can actually be really exciting when you see the result.
I think you actually did the summary there when you did that. But, do you want to say anything else at the end about, and I think you've touched on anxiety a little bit, and there are people that are so anxious playing golf, right? But maybe end with a little discussion related to anxiety and, talk to people about why they ought to at least give this a try.
Yeah, well, anxiety is the killer of most sporting prowess. Even to the point that during the Olympics we saw the American gymnast who just had to pull out a competition because she was burned out. And the prevention of the burnout all comes down to really how much stress and pressure that you put on yourself and have other people throw expectations on you, and all of a sudden you become muscle bound rather than free and easy. So when we have people that get very anxious when they play golf, which part of their brain is actually working? It's the frontal lobes which are saying, "Oh my gosh, if I do this, if I do that, I'm going to look bad in front of these guys," or da 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 da. A lot of times, particularly high handicappers, I play golf so rarely now these days that when I go out, I'm quite happy just to hit the ball and not lose it. But we have those situations where a lot of people get too tied up in their game and worrying about the outcome rather than just playing the shot. It ties them up so badly that they do all sorts of crazy things. They'll hit the ball, try and hit the ball too hard, or they'll try and hit it too soft, or they end up changing their swing motion so that they end up with a horrible flip at the ball rather than just the ball getting in the way of a good swing. So yips putting. Oh my goodness! If you say Mary had a little lamb, she also had a duck, while you're putting, you cannot think, "Oh, there's the ball. This is the stroke that I'm about to play to it. My hands are going to go all wobbly or whatever as I'm going through there." With a clear key running, it's, I won't say impossible, but it's almost impossible to yip a putt. And the trick is giving yourself enough time for a clear key out on the putting greens and things, that you gain a bit of confidence that, hey, I can actually play this stroke.
Yeah.
Heck, most people can putt, but they only putt badly once they become anxious about what's going on. So we can, our muscles actually work faster when, the middle part of our brain rather than our frontal lobe. We can react to things faster if we let that part of our brain have free reign on the situation rather than thinking. There was some research done on how fast our fight and flight centers can actually function compared to thinking about where I'm going to land the punch. It's like, that's pretty scary when you think, okay, when you watch football, it's really good. There are some footballers, when they receive, particularly receivers, if the receiver gets the ball, there are some of them that just know where the defenders are, and they just seem to have so much more time to get those extra few yards. You get quarterbacks that just know where everybody's coming from around them. Do you think that they're standing there thinking, or do you think that they just have soft focus and an amazing amount of awareness?
Yeah.
That awareness is our whole persona, not just, there's a play that I've got to go on and off we go. The punters at football, when the ball comes back and there's the snap back and the guy sticks his finger on the top of the ball and they do Charlie Brown effort, those guys actually have more stress than the guys that are in a free flow running thing, because it's a bit like golf. It's a static thing. So clear keys in there work. Free kicks at soccer work. Anything where you've got time to think more, you've got more chance of bad things coming into your mind. So anxiety with a little ditty goes an awful long way. Now, one other thing that goes into the mix is how fast you say your ditty. If you're a person who walks quickly around town, or does things fast, or somebody who's an ambler, I don't know, I'll get there, and you say, oh my God, would you hurry up? If you have a clear key, make it fit how you function in life. So if you're a slow-moving person, your Mary had a little lamb, she also had whatever, you will play better and have less interference with your brain than if you were a slow-moving person and go, Mary had a little lamb, she did that. You know what? If you try to do that, you should actually try it out on the range one day, is speed up your clear key so it's like super fast, and then really slow it down and see what the results are. They're quite shocking.
Yeah.
Okay, and because it actually you need everything to function within your own tempo, which is another big word in golf magazines these days.
Right.
But if you want to hit the ball a little bit further, you can actually just speed it up a little bit, and that's okay. But if you try and take it to an extreme, you can see where the errors can come in. And the other thing that we talked about personality profiling for a long time last time out, and you've got your four quadrants of your driver, your persuader, your analyst, and then your craftsman. When you're teaching clear keys to people, it's actually quite important to know what the person's profile is so that you can actually get them to accept the clear key in the way that they want to hear it.
Yeah,
so,
I get that for sure.
Yeah. So, like, if you're an analyst like yourself, I've got to explain why the clear key actually works, probably down to the biology of your brain a little bit more. If you're a Richard Branson type entrepreneur, you got to understand that the clear key's got to be a cool clear key, because you're going to be entertaining people while you're playing golf as well as hitting the ball. If you're a craftsman, then life is all about, okay, I'm going to have a nice, quiet, non-controversial clear key here, because I don't want to make a scene or anything. And I'm listening and I'm hearing, and I know that I can test it and it works. And then you have your drivers, and they're probably the ones that are going to have the most controversial, loudest ones that are out there, because it becomes part of their gamesmanship, or it can. So again, how you're actually getting the information to these different types of people, you got to sell them what they want to hear, so that they can say, oh, okay, this tool works for me because. And once they grasp, how they are going to be using the tool and the type of means that they will use that tool for, the acceptance level skyrockets. So if you go up to a craftsman and you say, you are going to say this, just go and do it.
Right.
They get defensive and they won't do it, and that's and they fight it. So that's not the point of these things. The point is acceptance and use.
Well, that's a great way to end, I think. And what I was going to say at the end of acceptance and use is one of the best ways people listening might be able to get to that point is I will again put your email address into the notes for the podcast. And if anybody wants to take even a little bit deeper dive into this, they can get in touch with you. But you and I are going to keep praying that somewhere, somehow in the world, all of Carrie's stuff gets printed. It's got to happen.
Yeah.
Because I keep hoping that's going to happen, and somebody out there is going to connect with, I guess it's the family or whoever, and just let it happen, because there's some really great knowledge out there. Absolutely,
and I thank you for giving us a buzz down here. And, I do hope that there are a few people out there that have a crack at this, because it can't hurt. It's one of those great things of being able to try something, and the worst thing that happens is you stay where you're at. It doesn't make you any worse. The positive side of it is it can make you very, very much better. So on that note, I'll leave you to enjoy the rest of your evening up there, and I'm heading for the beach because it's actually looking nice out there at the moment.
Oh my goodness! Well, that's a tough way for you to have in terms of your morning. It's almost 10 o'clock in the morning there, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Sounds like a good
Best time
deal.
of the day.
Paul, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.
The Golf Improvement Podcast is sponsored by Tony Wright and Game Improvement Golf. Tony creates exceptional golf clubs. You shoot lower scores.
Paul, thanks for helping all of us better understand the value of using clear keys to, as you said early in the interview, move the golf ball the best way we can. I mentioned in the interview the clear key I've been using in my game, but actually as a result of this interview, I've taken a relook at that and have come up with some new clear keys that I think are very consistent with my personal style. Watch out, golf game. I put Paul's email address in the show notes, and if you want to get in touch with him to learn more about how to create and use clear keys, you won't be disappointed. And as I mentioned in episode 176, he can also help you to learn your personal style profile, something that can help you in life and help your golf game. I have a double shout out today. First, on July 18 of this year, Chris Hillary, the creator of the wonderful and very unique Aerotech steel fiber golf shafts, passed away. This was a huge shock. Chris was an absolutely delightful person who made a tremendous contribution to the golf industry. I first met him sometime around 2011. He, I know, is missed by his family and by all of his many friends in the golf industry. Second, I continue to have this hope that someone in Kerry Mumford's family will have an interest in having his unpublished books published. What a gift that would be to the world of golf. If anyone in the family hears about this podcast and wants to get in touch with me to see if I can help with that, please do so. And finally, I just have to say it, Bryson DeChambeau, I know you're probably not listening, but you were awesome in the World Long Drive Championships this past week. Well, that's it for today. Next time, Jeff Pellizzaro, a Golf Digest Top 50 Best Golf Fitness Professional and creator of the 18 Strong podcast, will talk with me about how to avoid the 5 fatal workout mistakes that are destroying your golf game. This will be a great one. Take care and stay safe.
Game Improvement Golf, your source of information and inspiration to become an exceptional golfer now. www.gameimprovementgolf.com